I had, I think, at least four books that I had regret. And so the titles, I just, at that time of my life, I thought, oh, these are funny, these are great. And then when I look back at them now, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And the books didn't sell. And, I basically had to give them away to my friends who just had the sense of humor like I have, right? So, yeah, sometimes you will have regret and you can have a do over. You can improve on your next print or what have you. And it was just a series of books. And I think at that time I was really going through something. And so I just created this series of books, and when I would look at them I would just laugh, and when I was creating them. And so, but when I look at them now I'm like, oh gosh, how can I pull these books? But they're out there, people know about the books, and so I basically had to give those away. And so some of my friends have them, and that's fine, but you do not want to have regret. Was it a flop or was it a bop, right? So just keep this in mind when you're doing your books, to don't have regret. But also, before you actually do the book, think about how you're going to feel about this book in 5 years, in 10 years. Is just a moment right now, or is this really truly who you are and the story that you want to tell? What makes a good book cover? Well, one is the colors. If you have a good color palette for your book, that's great. If you're going to use a combination of colors, make sure that you test those colors out. Maybe ask some people what's their emotion around the color combination that you've chosen. Some software will put together color combinations for you to use that are appropriate for the industry, so to speak, or for your type of book. So, a good book has a great color palette. We look at it and then we feel great about it. Some colors exude emotion. Like when I look at red, I get excited, right? So, yellow is just like happy. So, just keep this in mind when you're picking the colors for your book. You also want to look at the text and the font of the book, right? So the text, what size are the letters? Can we read them? Can we see your name on the cover? So if you're choosing the wrong font because you're trying to be all fancy, then we don't know even what the name of the book is. We don't know your name. So pay attention to, what you're choosing. We're all artists here, but we definitely want to pick something that someone can read. It's better to be basic and I can read your title of your book and I know what your book is basically about, other than, you've got some font that's just kind of like way out there and it looks like graffiti, right? Not unless you're writing a book about graffiti. Maybe that's appropriate. So, another thing that you might want to do is consider putting something on your cover, if this is your type of book, that gets some emotional response, right? So if your book is, say you have this really compelling story and you do want to strike emotion, or your writing is such that you really prick my heartstrings. So your picture should really go with whatever's in the book. So you want to make sure that whatever's on the outside, on the cover, is inside this book, and vice versa. Now, when you're doing layout and design, I always say if you're not the layout and design person, don't do your own layout and design of your book. Let someone help you with this process. It's great to invest in this. I've said it several times. I have several videos on this topic because You do not know all the little intricate details that go into making this layout precisely what the publishing platform wants. So rely on someone who can really help you with this. I know I'm not an expert at this, so I just let someone else help me do it. And they are experts at it because there's nothing worse than we get this book and then it's just not flowing. You know, you've got information missing on this page, and then you've got a lot of information on that page, and then you're just flipping through the book, and it just is not balanced, right? And so when things are not balanced, the layout and design person is going to really make it flow, and they're going to fill in where something is missing. Something that always stumped me was DPI. They say, okay, if your book cover is not at least 300 DPI, then it's not going to be a great cover, right? So, what is DPI? It just is like the little dots, right? Dots of ink, right? So you need that. You need at least 300 DPI in order for this cover to really pop. And so basically, when someone says, I need your picture or your photo to be 300 DPI, you need to make sure you provide that to them so that when they are laying out your book and everything, it's quality. We know when you've done your own book, especially if you don't know what you're doing, right? And so I am proof that I've done books and they were just put together however I wanted to do them. And so I had to say, okay, I did that and let me try to do it over, right? So don't try to be the expert in something that's this important. Just get a person for every step. You know, plan out your book and then do it in stages. If you feel like it's too expensive or it's getting to be a little bit too costly for you, take every part of the book process and plan it out. Make a calendar and plan all that out. You do not want to produce this product, then you tell the world, here it is. And then we're like, oh my God, who did this? Right? So, yeah, make it important. Make every part of your book important.